This next activity is called subtitles. And one, we have so much access to authentic target language videos right now. And one activity that a lot of American language teachers like to do is called movie talk. And so basically, it's a short video of some kind. And of course, if you're working in the B level or C level, it would be longer chunks, etc. But taking a video and you scaffold it, you talk a lot about it, and you stop it a lot and you ask a lot of questions as you go, and you watch a short clip. For a novice level, it would be, a 2 or 3 minute clip lots and lots and lots of times. And then you would have students write what they think the subtitles on would be. You could even have them pick, okay, what are 6 things that you heard? So you're going from comprehensible input with lots of support, and you're bringing it to they're creating something with the language. You can do this with lots and lots of videos, any video with the sound off too, if you want to do that. It's really quite fun. They imagine what's happening and they write about it in the target language. And it's a great way to get culture in there. So I'm going to be doing one with, I'm a huge Almodovar fan, and I know that, it wouldn't necessarily be appropriate for, I can't show the entire movie of many of his films to my students, but I can show them little clips or whatever, just so they know who that is. He's someone that they talk about a lot in Spanish. He's really fun, and it sparks a lot of conversation. So this is also a good activity if you have something longer and you don't want to show them all of it, but you want them to be familiar culturally. You can do that. So another activity from drama, and you can use this lots of ways. This is just simply a storyboard. And there are a lot of free ones. I really love a website called freeology.org. And basically, you could do your subtitles on this, right? Where you could kind of just draw, what happened, and then they could talk about, they could write their subtitles underneath. But this is just a simple piece of paper, is super powerful. And you can do lots of things. So at the novice level, I might do exactly what we just talked about, subtitles, but you could also use this to draw some scenes. Let's say that you're starting the past tense, or any grammar and communicative topic that you're doing. They draw the scenes and then they write underneath what's happening. Another way to use this is with reading. And this is really great for when you're going into the intermediate, that B level. They read something and then they actually make a storyboard. They pick 6 scenes out of it. One thing I like to share with my students is that in France, it's my understanding that a lot of filmmakers will start with this storyboard, all the things visually that they want to see, and then they write the dialogue underneath. So they can then do that with a short story, a reading selection, and they can write out what happened. And the power isn't so much in them writing out what happened, it's about them constantly going back to the text and being really engaged in it, because they get so much grammar and vocabulary all in context, and then sort of either recapping, maybe this is a summary, maybe this is the 6 most important parts of a story, etc. Or they can use it to even make their own. Like I said, going to a restaurant, having to complain at a hotel, thinking about all the things that could happen. And they can even make their own video out of it. So they've decided what scenes they're going to shoot. And then they shoot those 6 scenes, they put them together, and they've got a video. And students tend to really enjoy doing that. Another way to really low prep that you can do with anything is a screenplay. And another little tip that I like to share with people is, on a screenplay, they're written so that one page equals 1 minute on the screen. And it's a certain kind of format that they use, which is very simple, but you don't have to even worry about that so much. It's Courier font, 12 point. And on Google Docs, there's loads of add-ins. So I really like to do this with those basic communicative tasks, right? Maybe they'll make a 2-minute screenplay of going to the airport, for example. You think about all these different tasks that we have them do, and they can make their own little screenplay, and that can be the assignment. And they can actually do it, read it out as sort of a reader's theater. They're really fun. And they can do it on a Google Docs with an add-on. It's completely for free. The next activity, I love shopping activities. And so if you have, there's lots of ways you can do this. I'll just start with this sort of input activity. Here we have El Corte Inglés, of course, just a, basic department store, and anything with nouns you could use this for, but I might introduce clothing this way, just as an introductory activity. And, they get to see the words, and they get to say, which one do you like? Which one don't you like, etc. And to do this at sort of a higher level, I would give them some websites from different countries that speak the same target language, just to do some comparing and contrasting, or maybe assign different groups, different stores from different countries, and everybody has to kind of find 3 or 4 things, and they have to share them with the class. So they all have some really interesting cultural insight, but this works really well. I just put it up on my screen or my digital whiteboard, and I ask and answer questions. And then later they can actually go shopping. So I make them a little list, and they have to actually follow the list. So I might say, for an intermediate student, I might say, here are some things that are coming up in my life. And I might give the list, quote unquote, of the things that I need for them to get. And they actually have to go to these target language stores and, get them. Not really, of course, but for example, I'm going to go on a ski trip. I'm going to then go to my niece's wedding, for example. Some different things that they have to go shopping for, and they have to go find things that are appropriate for you. So body parts. Usually, these are sort of introduced in the novice level, and they're usually introduced in the context of something else. So, for example, talking about appearance, or perhaps talking about health, or talking about daily routines, or talking about classrooms, right? Raise your hand, for example. So they've usually, through some really basic communicative functions, have seen and heard some body part language. But if you're tired one day, there's some really fun activities that you can do with just kind of pulling that knowledge together and doing a review. For the novice level, for the A level, I would just take some Post-its, get some Post-its. And I'm obsessed with Post-its, by the way. Teachers, I think we love notebooks and pens and office stuff, etc. I certainly do, but a lot of different colored Post-its. And so as you review that vocabulary, maybe you're writing it on the board, you're saying the word, and they're writing it on a Post-it note, and then they just put them on their desk as you kind of go through, right? You're reviewing all those body parts that they heard and they learned through those different communicative functions that you did, and then maybe adding a few more, because there'll be some that they don't know, and there'll be some, of course, that have forgotten some, etc. And so after you've gone through all the ones that you want to do, they'll have a whole bunch of Post-it notes on their desk, and then you say the words and they put the Post-its all over them. And then, so they're listening, right? So they've listened a couple of times, right? They've done TPR, they've actually put the body parts on, and of course they'll fall off and there'll be a lot of laughter. It'll be really fun. And then put them with, whoever sits close to them, and they have to say to each other while they take the body part Post-its off, and they put them all over the desk. And then what they can do is they can take another Post-it or a piece of paper. So they've interacted with this vocabulary a lot. And then they they do kind of a draw what I say activity. So they might think of an alien. You'll have to model this for them, but someone describes an alien or something kind of really off, really out there. So for example, you know, something that's not natural, but it's really silly. They'll kind of draw a person putting together based on what they say. So, they'll come up with all kinds of interesting things, and then they draw, and then they compare what they drew compared to what they said. They try to see that it's accurate. Then normally what we do is we put them, I like doing this with Post-its, and preferably big Post-its, but then you put them all up and then you have kind of a gallery, and then we all give them target language names. So it's really, really, really fun way to, it's all you need is to know some body parts, want to teach the body parts in the target language, and some Post-it notes, and you've got a lesson there. Now, here's the part if you're tired, because I know you're probably thinking, like, I think she said that if I was tired, then that's probably the last thing that you want to do is beyond like that. You can just do, your review of your body parts. Maybe you're kind of brainstorming with the students. They're writing everything on the board. Maybe you've got it on a list already. And then one thing that I really like to do is combine this with something else. So this makes for a great review day when maybe, you're low on energy because, we can't be on all the time. And you're going to combine that body part vocabulary with another set of vocabulary. So in this case, you'll see that I did food. So I might want to review body parts and review food. So then what I would do is I would have them make a person out of what the other vocabulary parts are. And then they would have to label all of those body parts and all of those foods and make a key. And then they could write about that person. So, they might talk about what their names were or where they live, et cetera, et cetera. And you can do this with any vocabulary. It can be body parts and school, right? So, you're looking at this person, and, the body parts made out of different fruits and vegetables and foods, but it could really be anything, clothing, anything you want. And I find, they're so creative. I'm not great at drawing, but I do a lot of drawing activities in my class because I think it's a really great way to interact with vocabulary, and it's fun, and it helps them remember a lot of words. So you can make this very simple. For an A level, they would just do something like this, and they might write a few words about them. In the B level, they can get pretty extended into their stories. And normally I prepare a bunch of questions for them that are things that I want to review. So in the intermediate level, so, basic biographical information, and then add on to that, maybe some past tense, maybe some future tense, whatever it is that I'm doing, I would add on to that.